when we take the mitochondria, it will have an outer membrane like this. Then inside the outer membrane, you'll have inner membrane, which shows foldings like this. What the term given to these foldings of inner membrane of mitochondria?
Cistern.
No, absolutely wrong.
Cristae.
Yes, cristae. Okay, cisternae. Cisternae we will find in where?
Golgi bodies.
Endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi complex or Golgi bodies. We'll find cisternae and endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi bodies. Okay, these are called cisternae, not cisternae, cristae in mitochondria. Okay, so this is the outer membrane and this is the inner membrane. Now, inner membrane shows some foldings called cristae. Cristae are nothing but the foldings of inner membrane of mitochondria. Then you have a space called intermembrane space. The space between outer membrane and the inner membrane. This space is called intermembrane space. Inter, between membranes of mitochondria space. Then we have a fluid inside the inner membrane along with the cristae. The shaded part, the whole shaded part, the fluid part, which is called, what the term? We discussed this already in last session. Matrix, yes. So this is a fluid membrane, fluid matrix. Okay. So so far we discussed this structural aspect. Okay. Then now you take the outer membrane. The outer membrane is having a special structures called porins. The porins you'll observe on the outer membrane of mitochondria. So, can anybody guess what's the purpose of porins? Just not much about plasma membrane. In plasma membrane, we discussed about how different molecules will come into the cell and will move out of the cell. There will be some structural proteins on the surface of plasma membrane, isn't it? Like that, these are the structures which are there on the outer membrane. So here, so many reactions happens inside the matrix or inside the intermembrane space or on the cristae. We'll have various reactions. So the reactions, if are going to happen, some molecule has to come in the structure and some molecules has to move out of the structure, isn't it? So this inflow and outflow of various molecules into the mitochondria and out of mitochondria happens with the help of structures called porins. Porins are nothing but the proteins which acts as carriers. Carrier basically means carrying the molecules into the mitochondria and carrying molecules out of mitochondria. Okay. So this is about the structural aspect of mitochondria. Then if you take the other parts of mitochondria, inside the matrix, you will have two very important components. One is ribosomes, other one is DNA. So in the last class, I just gave the abbreviation of DNA. What is DNA?
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Deoxyribose nucleic acid.
Yes, deoxyribose nucleic acids. So deoxyribose nucleic acids. Okay. First we'll discuss about the DNA. Then we'll discuss the functional aspect of mitochondria. First I'll give a introduction about DNA. Okay. Because DNA we have to read even in nucleus also. So actually most of the cell DNA you will observe in nucleus, a cell organelle. Other than nucleus, DNA is also present in mitochondria. This is the most important aspect. Then after mitochondria, even in chloroplast, these are another cell organelles found in plant cells. In chloroplast also we'll find DNA. So a funny question comes, the occurrence of DNA, we can go for nucleus in large amount, we'll find DNA. Then we'll find in mitochondria also DNA, and in chloroplast also we'll find DNA. Okay, now what is DNA? Now when you take, in the last session just gave a crude example like how you get some of the physical characters which your parents or forefathers carry. Like some of your face form or complexion resembles your father, your eye size or your nose shape resembles your mother or cousin, something like that. So that resemblances in general terminology, we call that resemblances in biology as inheritance. Okay. The word inheritance means transfer of some characters or carrying some characters. Now what are the characters? Basically physical characters we'll talk, not only physical characters but also the mental behavior. All those characters will be transferred from parent to the child. So this we call as inheritance. Okay. So basically inheritance means transfer of characters. Now the characters may be the appearance or the behavior characters. Now this inheritance is something related to DNA. Now when we talk about inheritance, usually we talk genes. Okay, not the genes you bear, the genes. Genes we find in plants also, along with animals and humans. We'll find in plants also the genes. Here on the chromosomes also carry genes. We talk about chromosomes when we go to nucleus. Okay. Now here we will not talk about chromosomes. Chromosomes are related to nucleus. Here we are just talking about DNA and genes. First understand this concept. Then this can be related to chromosomes and the lattice tissue. Okay. Fine with that? Okay. Now when you take the inheritance, the transfer of characters, genes are basically the responsible part which will help in inheritance. Now what are genes? Genes are nothing but numerous DNA molecules come together. So you'll be having numerous DNA molecules which will form genes. Okay. So when you take a single gene, you'll have some hundreds of DNA molecules. Like that you will be having millions of genes in a body. Whether it is a plant or it is an animal, or you can take a human body. Okay. So here basically the transfer of characters or DNA inheritance is related to genes. Now DNA is getting inherited. This molecule is getting inherited. First we'll discuss about the DNA structure. Then I'll explain how it is getting inherited. What is the basic point behind the inheritance. Okay. So far clear about the DNA strand and DNA molecule. Yeah, I guess this doubt will rise, Akshat. That's why I'm explaining the DNA structure in brief. Okay. Yeah. So far genes and DNA, the relationship you got, reminding students. So here when we are talking about genes, genes are the one which are made up of various DNA molecules. That's the first point. Then the DNA molecule or the genes are involved in inheritance. That's the basic point. Clear? Now, when you take the DNA structure, vaccine and Crick. Maxwell and Crick, these are the scientists who got Nobel Prize for discovering DNA structure. Okay. Now, when you take DNA structure, they have given double helix model against strand. That is double. So here I'm using the word strand. Okay. So why I'm using the word strand? Because see, they are in helical model. They're not straight. They're not parallel. So they are in helical model. So that's why we are using the word strand. And in helix, both the strands, first strand and the second strand, both the strands were each DNA molecule. Here, this stands for molecule. Okay, molecule will be in the form of strand. So that's the difference. Someone asked molecule and strand. Yeah. See, DNA is a molecule. Various DNA molecules will form a helix like this. This is one helix, and this is the second helix. Okay. So the DNA molecule will form as strands, and they're intertwined with each other like this. So that's why I call the helix. This is a double helix model of DNA. When you take DNA, you will have a nitrogen base. Because we are calling it as molecule, you will be having different categories. Here, DNA, the name deoxyribonucleic acid, I am elaborating the name. You will have a nitrogen base. Then you have a sugar, which we call as deoxyribose. Then we'll have a phosphate molecule. Okay, so this is the DNA molecule. Okay, so what is the DNA molecule? DNA molecule will have three components: nitrogen base, a sugar, which is a deoxyribose sugar, and phosphate molecule. Now, such DNA molecule here, this is the molecule. Okay. Now, such DNA molecules are arranged like this. Okay. Now, when the molecules are arranged like this, each arrangement we call as strand. So, basically, strand is what? Strand is nothing but DNA molecules arrangement. Like that, you will be having two strands. This is the one strand and this is the second strand. Now both the strands double helix. They are intertwined with each other like this. So that's why the name helix. So this is basic structure of DNA. Clear with the molecule word and strand? Who asked, Rhoda?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Now this is the, yeah.
Ma'am, the strand is made up of DNA molecules.
Yes, each strand is made up of DNA molecules. And each molecule of DNA is made up of these three components.
Now,
okay.
One strand is made up of hundreds of molecules of DNA.
It depends. It depends where the DNA is existing. It depends on the place of DNA, the functional aspect where the DNA is present. It varies. And don't bother about the data. Just understand the concept. Okay, fine. Now, when you take the molecule of DNA, these are the basic things you'll find in DNA structure. And it was given by Baxter and Crick, who got Nobel Prize for their contribution towards DNA structure. Now, why we are discussing all this is, we have genes, and genes are made up of DNA. DNA is nothing but a molecule, and DNA molecule is made up of these components. The DNA molecules will form the strands. This is the order. This is what I want to give you on this regard. Okay. Now the question can be tricky like this. Just listen the question. Everybody. Are DNA molecules more than genes? When you take genes, we are saying within genes. Within certain genes will be having DNA molecules. Okay. So, yeah, yes, Naisha, yeah, correct only. So, we will have DNA molecules more than gene, because genes are made up of DNA and we are having hundreds and millions, not hundreds, usually as millions of DNA molecules we'll find. Okay. So far clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, when you take the whole DNA, we are saying that DNA is not only present in nucleus, it is also present in mitochondria. Here, we are talking about the functional aspect of mitochondria now. Now, when you take the mitochondria will also have DNA in the matrix of mitochondria. You will find DNA here. Okay, like this, you will have DNA molecules. Now, what the nucleus DNA is different from mitochondria DNA. This is the next point. Now, when you take the nucleus DNA, nucleus is the one which is really involved in reproduction process. So, here when you take the nucleus DNA, by reproduction process only this DNA gets transferred. But the DNA which is there in mitochondria, so this DNA we call it as cytoplasmic inheritance. Cytoplasmic inheritance. So if any character or if any feature that is inherited because of the mitochondrial DNA, then such inheritance we call as cytoplasmic inheritance. Whereas the inheritance we observe because of the nuclear DNA, we call it as nuclear inheritance. This is the usual one. Usually we find in all the organisms the nuclear inheritance. But cytoplasmic inheritance, we'll find where the mitochondria carries DNA. They have given, there are so many examples for cytoplasmic inheritance. Why the word cytoplasmic inheritance is used, I hope you got. Because the mitochondria is present in the cytoplasm, basically, an organelle which you will find in the cytoplasm of cell. So the DNA through which the characters are passed to next generations, if it is related to mitochondria, then it is called cytoplasmic inheritance. Okay. In some books, they also extranuclear inheritance. Now this word also, I hope you got it. Extranuclear, not nuclear inheritance, but other than nuclear inheritance. So both the words are related to mitochondrial DNA.